So thank you everybody for joining. I really appreciate that you made the commitment to join and you actually showed up. It is, everybody's taking time out their day. Obviously, everybody in the call is wanting to scale up their woodworking business. So the way this is going to go, I'm going to go through kind of the, I don't know if you want to call it a lesson or a lecture or something. It's going to be quick, be maybe 15 to 30 minutes. Just some stuff that I've learned as a successful woodworking business owner. And at the end of the call, I'm going to leave room for questions and answers. So whatever questions you have, I'll answer them to the best of my ability. I do have a hard stop at 7 o'clock for another call. So we do need to wrap this up within an hour. So, if we get close to 7 o'clock and if I have to interrupt somebody to shut the call off, just don't be offended. Just know that I got to shut this down and go to the next call with one of the guys that are in my community on school. So if you're not familiar with me, or if you are, you might hear some regurgitation. But if you've seen my YouTube channel at all, especially since the beginning, I started in a shipping container in 2020. So I started my woodworking business in 2020. YouTube, I think, started in 2021 in a shipping container behind my house. And I did what every woodworker does. I built everything anybody wanted, and I didn't make any kind of money because there was no strategy behind the business that I could follow. And so whenever we decided to niche down, which if you've seen my videos lately, I've been preaching niche down, and it's because it's a life-changing strategy. Niche down in your business and niche down to high ticket, especially if you have the space for it. So whenever we started niching down and marketing, we started doing 25,000 to 35,000 a month gross in sales with about a 60-70% profit margin. And that's kind of the quick down and dirty story of my business. There's a lot of crying, a lot of almost peeing in the shop, because there ain't no bathroom out there, a lot of work, but you can have a successful woodworking business. And what I did, I wanted to start the woodworking business back, earlier, 2015, 2016, sometime around there when I started learning it. But the worst thing I ever did was I looked up online, can you make money doing custom woodworking? And of course, every resource you find, they say, no, you're going to go broke. The only way you can make money is if you do cabinets. And I hate doing cabinets, so I never started my business. And even when I started the business, I found out, no, you can't make money doing woodworking. And it wasn't until I found a mentor. And just so everybody knows, I did do Zach Vaught's program. Great program, pretty expensive, but a great program. It absolutely changed my life. But when I found a mentor that actually has done what I wanted to do, made the type of money that I wanted to make, that's when I actually found out you actually can make money doing custom woodworking. But there's some stuff that you gotta adjust. You gotta have a strategy. And you got to get out of this mindset of being a woodworker. I want to kind of touch on some of that because I've had a lot of conversations with woodworkers these past few days. Dominic Barasso's one great conversation. We did the 5-day Underdog Woodworker Challenge. So I've talked to a lot of woodworkers these past few weeks. And what I'm finding, none of them have strategy, and a lot of them are still thinking like a woodworker, and that just does not translate into business. And what I mean by that is I had a conversation the other day with somebody, and he was wanting to build a table out of ambrosia maple, and he's getting into all the ins and outs. And while I love exotic woods, while I love joinery, I love hand cut dovetails, mortise and tenon, all that stuff, nobody cares. Nobody else cares about it. And to have a successful business, that's something you're going to have to kind of put out of your mind, even though you can do those things. Number one, people don't have the budget to pay you for that. Most people don't have the budget to pay you for that. And number two, they just don't care about the joinery. As long as you build it and it's sturdy and it's going to last, that's their main concern. They could care less about hand-cut joinery unless they actually ask about it. So there's just some things that we as woodworkers, we have a habit or a tendency of doing, and we're proud of it, and we rightfully should be proud of it, but it's just not, it doesn't translate into good business practice. Oh, excuse me. My apology. I swallowed that water and went down the wrong pipe. And so what I want you to get out of this call, even if you don't do business with me in the school community, I want you to have something you could put. So sorry, I literally swallowed water in the wrong pipe. My bad, I'm human. But I want you to have something you could put into your business that will improve your business immediately. Whether or not you decide to do business with me or not, you're going to have something of value by the end of this call. And so if you watch my videos lately, I've already talked about target audience. I've already talked about niching down. I'm not going to rehash any of that. What I want to talk about is marketing. A lot of woodworkers kind of shy away from it because you've tried running ads before, or you've tried boosting posts, which boosting posts is a complete waste of money. Don't do it. But the way you run your ads, the way you set up the campaigns, that's all going to affect how successful they are, and then how you target. So you're not going to target, if you're selling, let's just say cutting boards, which you shouldn't be selling cutting boards because it's a low ticket, but let's say that's what you're selling. You're not going to just blast out your ads. If you just blast out your ads, you got no target in mind, you have no campaign objective, you're going to waste every single penny. You're going to get unqualified leads, because it's not just going to your target audience, it's going to people that don't have the budget, but they have the dream. A lot of people in their 20s, if you're doing high ticket, if you're talking to somebody in their 20s, they most likely they don't have the budget. So back to what I was saying, for your target audience, you're not going to target, a 20-year-old person that's into skateboarding, not going to be interested in a cutting board. But if you don't narrow down your target audience when you do your ads, you're going to be putting your ad in front of that person, and it's going to be costing you money. So whatever you set up your ads, you need to narrow down your search to your target audience. And if you, whatever your product is, that's going to help to determine your target audience. Now, like I said before, niching is completely life-changing, especially for your business, because now I'm not building everything anybody wants. I've got one main product, and I upsell from that. And that's another strategy I want to give to you. Whatever your niche is, for me, it's dining tables. That's pretty much your entry into your client's home, and it gives you the opportunity to upsell, and it's a strategy. So whenever somebody wants a dining table, they also, most of them, some of them, they want a buffet. I've had some of them that have it turned a $4,000 ticket into a $20,000 ticket because they wanted a bedroom set to go with it. So whenever you're making your product, or whenever you're narrowing down your product for your business, figure out what products revolve around that you could upsell and then make a higher ticket than your original product catalog. So for me, like I said, that's buffets, that's bed frames, dressers, things like that. Now, I don't build my dressers, I outsource it. And that's another thing you need to look at in your business. What can you outsource and still make money on? So for my legs, for my dining table legs, unless it's a tapered or a straight leg, I outsource it. For my chairs, that's all outsourced. For the table pedestals, that's all outsourced. The way I teach people in my community to set up their business, especially if they're doing dining tables, you're only building the dining table top, and that's pretty much it. Now, that doesn't sound sexy for a woodworker, but when you realize you're making a 70% profit off of let's say an $1,800 table, it gets a lot more sexy when you think about it. Because now, instead of spending about a month, you got to get a lathe, turn your legs. You got to learn that. If you're doing pedestals, you got to learn how to do your pedestals on a bandsaw. The dining chairs, I guarantee you, nobody in this chat is set up to build dining chairs. Not to be cost effective to the client. If I was to build dining chairs, I would have to charge $1,000 per chair in order to make money on it. So what revolves around your product that you can outsource? And you're not outsourcing to cheap, like, China type stuff. There are manufacturers in the States that put out really high quality dining chairs, dining legs, but whatever product you're working on. Like for me, my upsells are buffets, bed frames, dressers. I'm not building any of that. I outsource that as well. And I'll assemble it, finish it to match. If they want a custom wood top, I'll throw away the top that it came with and build a top to match. But I upsell that. I put my margins on that, and I'm making money all the way around. There were some chairs recently that were upholstered The back was upholstered, the seat was upholstered. And all I had to do was order the chairs. I had no work in the finishing. I had no work in the upholstery. I was able to charge for 8 chairs. Uh, they were at cost. These were the most expensive chairs I've ordered. They were at cost $325 per chair. I was able to charge the client $475 because I had to have some kind of profit margin for it to make sense for me. And they were ecstatic about it because they were about to pay a furniture supplier up the road for the same exact chair, $600 per chair. So they saved money per chair. I made money per chair. I didn't spend any time learning how to build a chair. I don't have these tools in my shop taking up floor space, very, very valuable floor space. And I'm still able to make money on top of it. So look at what you can look at in your business and figure out what you can outsource to speed up the process of pumping out your product. So because I don't have to do table legs, I'm able to do a whole dining set in about 3 days. And that's working in the evenings after I get off of my full-time job. Very, very powerful for your business when you consider that you don't have to make everything. There are some things you could trust others to make. You order it, you take into account the lead time that there might be. And when everything comes in, that's when you start that project, however it falls out onto your schedule. So figure out, number one, you figure out your target audience, figure out what you can outsource to your product, so you don't have to build everything. And the other thing about the way that I teach people how to do business is I got bamboozled off of YouTube buying all these freaking tools that just aren't necessary. So like I've got a 2,000 and some odd dollar domino joiner. I've used it twice. Spent so much money on this freaking tool, I've used it twice. I don't even use it unless there's some heavy table base. I don't even use it. You'd be surprised. My joiner and my planer, both helical head, phenomenal pieces of equipment. They were both $4,000 a piece. They're all collecting dust. I haven't turned on my planer for about 2.5 months now. Because the way that I teach people how to do business, it's just not necessary to have all these tools. So you could do a high ticket item. If you have a table saw, a miter saw, some sanding equipment, and some routers, you have pretty much everything you need to do, dining tables. But whatever ticket you might be, or whatever ticket you might have, depending on what you can outsource, you don't need a lot of machinery. Which some days I think about it, it's kind of depressing because that's $10,000 of tools, $11,000 of tools that I don't even freaking use. So if anybody wants to buy a planer or a joiner, let me know by the end of this call. I'll give you a good deal. And so another hang up that I found and that I had myself is a lot of woodworkers, they get caught up in the project itself and not the business. Especially if you're not niche down, you're going to spend a lot of time focusing on the product. There's this old saying that good work sells itself. And while that's somewhat true, that's not a strategy. Word of mouth is not a strategy. Good work sells itself is not a strategy. You have to get your name out there, and you have to go miles and miles to present yourself as a trustworthy person online. Every lead that reaches out to you, they don't know you. And you think about how many spam calls you get per week, how many scams you see online per day. They don't know you at all unless they have a personal relationship with you. You have to go a long way to gain people's trust. The way that you're going to do that is you're going to start scaling up your social media post. You have to post, especially if you don't really have that much of a following. You have to post every day, no exception. Figure out something to post that's related to your business. Don't just post politics. Don't post, your opinions, nothing like that. It needs to be business related on your business profile. Because whenever you start running ads or when you start marketplace or whatever the case may be, the first place they're going to go to, because you don't have a brick and mortar shop, unless you do, but I'm pretty sure everybody in the call probably does not have a brick and mortar facility. They're not meeting you. So the first place they're going to go is your social media, your business social media. If they go there and they see your last post was, May the 3rd of 2025, or, before that, they'll be like, this guy, it's a scam. And that's how you would feel if you went to somebody's profile and you saw that. When somebody messages you on Marketplace, you go look at their profile, they have 2 friends, no post. it's obvious scam. The same is true for your business. Somebody goes there, they need to see that you're active. They need to see photos of your work, and they need to see photos or videos of you working in your shop. Because what you have to do with every single client, no matter how much portfolio you have, no matter how much post you have to gain trust of every single client you work with. You're starting from square one every conversation. One thing that really helps with that is to have a very active social media that speaks towards your business only, not political. And I shouldn't have to say it, but don't post anything political or opinion related on your business profile, because what you're going to do is you're going to alienate what could potentially be half of your client base. Not everybody agrees politically. That's fine. I don't care about your politics. What I care about is if you had the money to buy this $5,000 dining set. I don't care who you voted for. Can we do business? Business and emotions, business and politics should be completely separate. That's what's going to help you scale your business. So go through your social media right now, especially some of you older guys. And if you have anything that's politically related, opinion related, if you're throwing tantrums on your business profile about other businesses, people are going to lose trust in you very, very quickly. So go through, audit that. If you have anything that's not business related, specifically for your woodworking business, you need to take that off. If it's not related to your niche, you need to take it off. And you need to start posting stuff that's related to your niche. Now, I see a lot of woodworkers on Instagram as well. If you're doing high ticket, most of your client base is going to be on Facebook. Statistically, older people, 30, and I'm 35, so I can say older people 30 and up, they tend to be on Facebook because they want to keep in touch with their family. That's going to be the most effective place for you to start building your social media, and consider your Facebook as your brick and mortar. Okay. So let's get that going. Focus on Facebook. You could cross post to Instagram, but if you're doing high ticket, most likely you're not going to get the amount of sales that you're going to get off of Facebook, because the people on Instagram, 20 to 30, they don't necessarily have the disposable income that we're looking for in the high ticket game. The other thing I want to talk about, when you're doing marketplace, I recommend everybody do marketplace listings. It's free. There's no reason your stuff shouldn't be on marketplace. You get 12 to 14 posts that you can make on marketplace. Through your personal profile, there's no reason you shouldn't have 12 to 14 posts that's related to your business on marketplace. Treat every lead as if it's a sale. Whether or not they just hit you with the, hey, is this still available? As aggravating as that is, you still respond to it. You still follow up with that lead. And so you should not be waiting on people to follow up with you, specifically your leads. You should not be waiting for them to follow up with you. You should be following up with them. If they ghost you, that's one thing. But if you ghost them and you don't respond or you don't follow up, there's no way you're going to close that sale. The way that looks is this: if I'm talking to somebody and I'm working through options for a table, I'm only sending them one message before I let them reply. If I send them a message and they don't reply the rest of the day, I don't reply the rest of the day, because then you start looking desperate to make the sale. So when you send a message to your lead, you let them reply, or you follow up the next day. When you follow up the next day, if they still don't reply, give it a couple more days and you follow up again. If they still don't reply, give it a couple weeks and you follow up again. And your last follow up, and I love this statement, and it's beautiful. Your last follow up with your lead should be, hey, whatever your name is, look, where do we go from here? And you leave it open. Hey, their name, look, where do we go from here? What you're telling them is you're frustrated, you're a little bit confrontational, but you're letting them know that, they really dropped the ball. I have closed multiple sales by sending that last follow-up message, by relaying my frustration, still being professional, but you're making the lead realize, oh crap, I really didn't respond to this guy. Most of the responses I get, they're either, hey, yeah, I just don't have the budget, or I'm so sorry, I completely forgot. Yeah, let's get the quote. Send me the quotes. Here's my email, all this stuff. Let's get the deposit. I want to get on your schedule. Because you don't know what's going on the other side of the phone for these other leads that you're working. Every conversation is a potential sale, and you should treat it like that, no matter how much you think that that conversation is going nowhere. Then you have to realize that that person is a human. They may not be ghosting you. They may have just completely forgotten. For me, we have 6 kids at our house, okay? The dining table, what I sell, and the reason I can relate with a lot of these people, that's not going to be a priority purchase when you got 6 kids running around, busting holes in the wall, you know, digging through the dirt. This actually recently happened. One of my kids was digging through the dirt, completely sliced the whole front side of his pointer finger off, and we had to bring him to the hospital to get stitches. You know what I'm not thinking about, and what I might forget about at that time is whatever product you're selling that's not that big of a priority in my house. And you don't know how chaotic the other side is. So keep that in mind when you have these conversations going. Don't be rude until, and even that last follow-up isn't rude, but don't be rude until that last follow-up. When you're doing these lead conversations, you're going to end every single message that you send them. You're going to end with a question. What that's going to do is allow you to control the conversation. So whenever somebody reaches out, the way I teach people how to do their ads, my business is automatically going to message them when they click on my post or my ad. They automatically get a message, hey, name, smiley face emoji, there's something you want to quote on, or something we could give you. Did you see something that you'd like to get a quote on? Something like that. And they'll respond back, yeah, I want a table that seats 8. Or how much is the table in the photo? Whenever they're talking about my ad, I always reply back, I'd love to give you a quote on that. To start off with, you know, what size are you guys thinking? You always end the message with a question, because you need to control the conversation. Otherwise, they're going to blast question after question after question when you're working through that process. Whenever you start doing these messages, if you start running ads, you're going to get a ton of leads. You want to control that conversation as much as possible to get to the end as quick as possible. But you also have to be conversational throughout. So whenever you let the client lead the conversation, they're going to go off on these things that you don't even want to go off on. They're going to ask you 5 or 6 questions at one time. You're going to get frustrated. It's going to stretch out the conversation because you're going to send a message that's about this long, when you should only be sending 1 or 2 sentences to keep that conversation short, get to the end as quickly as possible while still being conversational. So keep that in mind with your leads. I know it's kind of a lot of information, but I'm trying to cram as much as I can within these first 30 minutes so we can get to the Q&A, as quickly as possible. There's a lot that really goes into having a successful woodworking business. What I've put together is I've got a community on school. I don't know if anybody on here has, checked it out. Some of these guys, they are having tremendous success in this community. I've got a guy just yesterday closed his first sale. Travis Sykes, and I'm sure he's following me sharing this stuff online. He had somebody come out to the shop, and that's the point I was trying to get to earlier. When you're in Messenger and you're doing these sales, you have a 20% chance to actually make the sale. When somebody comes out to the shop, or they ask to come out to your shop, you have a 90% chance to close the sale. So what happened in this situation, he had somebody meeting my first client at the shop, say a prayer for the big fella. You look at his shop, it ain't finished, it ain't fancy. He has nothing in his shop. No projects whatsoever at any stage of fabrication. Later on, he said, y'all like my new bookmark? He closed the sale, got a deposit check, $1,192. So that's a $2,300 ticket, just the dining table, and it's actually pretty small. Great sale. So there's guys in the community, they're having tremendous success. And that's kind of what I'm offering. I'm giving you value in this webinar. You still have stuff that you need to keep in mind whenever you're doing this. But if you want more information, if you want the mentoring, things like that, I do have this community available. I'm going to send you guys a link. The price, I'm keeping the price the same as it was when I started it. So that's kind of extended, but starting next year after this holiday season, the price is going to go up. And there's a lot of value. And I'm going to give you a quick run through on this. Obviously, you get the community. Everybody in here, they all have the same goal in mind. They're trying to scale their woodworking business. Okay. There's a course. You get in this classroom resources and links. You get access. You get to use my portfolio. So I know a lot of guys, and one of the big issues is they haven't started or they haven't built anything. Doesn't matter. You get all my photos for the tables to use on your social media. Save them, use them however you want. A general catalog. This is just a link to the chairs that I use, the legs, the bases, things like that. Portfolio quote builder. If you don't know how to do the prices, there's a quote builder. It automatically calculates. All you got to do is insert the size of your table, things like that. We do a weekly Q&A. I'm about to add 2 more bi-weekly calls, and it's going to be an accountability type thing. Let's go through your sales conversations. Let's see why you're not making sales. Let's look at your business goals. Why haven't you done this, or that? So there's going to be more calls added to the calendar. And you're going to set up a monthly, 2 or 3 times a month, however much you need. You and I talk one-on-one. So you have a link to that. Message me anytime you need. All the weekly Q&As are recorded in case you miss it. Mentor call, Facebook post templates. It's hard to come up with some of this content. And in the course, I show you how to schedule out. You can schedule out a month in advance all your Facebook, so you don't even have to think about it. And I show you what to do with it. But here, I've got 45. I think we're at 45 Facebook posts already built for you. Facebook review links. So we're doing a Facebook Kickstarter. What you're going to do is link your business Facebook. You're going to send me the link. I'm going to put it here. Everybody in the community is going to go through their personal profile to your business. They're going to leave you a review because you need reviews on your Facebook profile. So if you don't have reviews on your Facebook, you need to ask all your friends, ask all your family to go leave you a review, leave you a recommendation. That's going to go a long way to closing sales that you're going to have coming up. But you're going to find out a lot of friends and family suck, and they're not going to leave you a review. Everybody on this community is going to hop in. They're going to leave you a review. You'll go up to 10, 20, 30 reviews upon joining the community. Let me think of what else. In the course, so I kind of spitballed a lot of stuff here, or however you want to say it. I gave you a lot of information pretty quick. And we're 30 minutes in. There's a lot of information there's no way I can cram it in. This is 3 hours worth of course material. They're all in bite-sized pieces. But I teach you about social media, what to post, when to post. There's times of the day that you need to be posting if you're going to be posting. There's a Facebook planner you can use. Show you how to do that, how to retarget organically. There's a lot of sales. You might have some sales right now on your Facebook profile that you don't even know about. I'll show you how to identify that. Reach out to them and you potentially make a sale. Sales training, how to handle your leads. You have to nurture the leads. There's a lead center pipeline. If you have a business profile, you have access to this, but a lot of people don't know. They don't know how to set it up. Quotes, when to provide a quote, what all you want to have, the sales conversations, how to invoice. The list goes on. Facebook Marketplace, how to do your ads, and then just some extra kind of mindset stuff. But this is available. I'm going to send everybody a link. If you want to join, I'd love to have you. If not, you should have gotten value out of this call so far. So what I want to do now that I've given you my spiel, I'm going to open it up to Q&A. We got 27 minutes. So anybody on the call, whatever questions you have, let's get after that. And if nobody has a question, I'll find something else to talk about.
I'll break the ice. So a question, I guess. So I started out with just trying to do Facebook Marketplace for listings and not necessarily running ads yet because I don't have a lot of activity on my business page. I'm getting like I have 400 clicks on one of my listings for tables and like 3 saves on it, and I've gotten no messages. So I guess I'm curious, like what might be going wrong there that I'm not able to convert to anyone actually, even reaching out.
So it could be your pricing structure. What's the table priced at?
I did starting at $2,000 because in the Washington D.C. metro area, prices are pretty high in general, and I figured that was a good starting range.
The main thing I would take away from that is you probably have a good image, especially if you're getting the clicks. So you've got a good creative, and you should keep that because that will be a winner to run your ads. But I would look at my headline, and I would look at what you have as the copy inside of the actual marketplace listing. So the people are clicking; they're basically clicking for that photo. And then somewhere in that conversation, that's where you're losing your sale. So it depends on how you have it worded. Like I said, when you're doing leads as well, you got to be very, very open and conversational with it. So it really depends on how that copy is structured. But what you do have, and just so everybody knows on the call, you could use Facebook Marketplace to kind of do your A/B testing for your ads. So what I have everybody in the group do is you make the 12 to 14 posts immediately. You space them out in the areas surrounding you, and then every one of them is going to have a different first photo. So basically, every one of them is going to have a different cover photo, and then every one of them is going to have a different headline. And what that's going to give you is some metrics, like Dominic just said, he has 400 clicks. Even though he doesn't have any conversations going, what he knows right now is that table is going to be good for running an ad because it's getting clicks. And whenever you start running the ad, the way that you're going to set it up is your business will automatically set up the message whenever they click it. So I would look at the copy, the ad copy, and see if there's some kind of way you could tweak that or reword some things, make it more open and conversational and exciting. Make sure you got some exclamation points. Make sure you maybe have an adjective that's in all caps or a verb every now and then that's all caps. See what you could do to kind of tweak it and make it sound like you're actually excited to sell the table. That makes sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah.
Well, I noticed you in a previous video, you said that you made most of your sales from the marketplace. I myself, when I got back into the woodworking business, I just went right in, jumped in both feet, started the web page, all that. Just kind of curious, not hitting many sales off of that, but I noticed, like I said, again, you said in one of your latest videos that you had made most of your sales from a marketplace. Did you ever have or do you have a website or something like that, like a Shopify account or something like that you've used?
So just for clarification, most of my sales came from my ads. I have made sales on Marketplace.
Right.
But most of my sales came from the Facebook ads. I do have a website. I've made zero sales off my website. Yeah, it's something I just hadn't pushed. I really hadn't had the need to push it. I suck at making websites. My wife actually spent a lot of time making them. But we've had zero successful sales on the website. There are some guys that I know that they got a chat bot that'll close like one sale every 4 or 5 months without them actually having to be involved in the conversation, which, I think that'll pay off in the long run. But for me, I just haven't had the need to keep up with the website because I've just been having such tremendous success on Facebook itself.
Yeah, understood.
But if you already have it built, and it doesn't cost much to keep it running, I'll keep it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a link to my Facebook page, but it definitely doesn't get as much traction as my Facebook page itself.
Yeah. Yeah, I haven't closed any sales on the website. Actually, I'm about to restructure it just to kind of change the message a little bit, see what it does. But I haven't, like I said, I really haven't had the need.
You also mentioned about niching down to something. So when I got back in, of course, I had my wife talk me into building everything in the world that she could sell on Marketplace. And I'm like, okay, I really need to, and I totally understand you need to get into the big ticket items. And I was like, okay, did you just go out and build something first and just sell it? Or did you have somebody come in and say, hey, I need this first? How did that work out for you?
So when I started my business, people just randomly ask random stuff. Now send me photos. I'll say, yeah, I could build it. And I'll build on commission. Now, whenever I started scaling, like I said, I hired Zach Vaught. I paid for his mentorship program. And what that gave me was his entire portfolio, just like I'm providing, to the guys in my group. That's what really helped me whenever I actually started niching down the dining tables, that's one of the main things that helped me was I had access to his portfolio. I didn't have to build nothing for free, hoping it would sell. I was able to take his stuff that he's already built, put it on my social media as if it's my own, and use that to kind of scale, use that to kind of show portfolio, use that from a marketplace. Now, marketplace is good, but it's not a good business strategy to hang your hat on. It's the advertisement is where I've had the most success, because what you have in marketplace is people scrolling, they're just looking for stuff. But whenever you actually run successful ads, you're actually targeting people that are interested in your product. Now, I know it sucks to you got to spend money on an ad budget, and it takes a little bit to figure out which ads are working. But the reason it's so much more successful is because the people that Facebook is putting your ad in front of are people that are actually interested in the product. So that's why, marketplace is good, but just like a website, I wouldn't rely on my website for my sales. I wouldn't rely on marketplace for my sales. If I get some, that's great. The main thing I use marketplace for is to kind of test to see which photos are working, to test to see. You could get a little bit of data off the headlines, but the main thing I'm testing in marketplace to see which photos are getting the most clicks, because that's what I'm going to use for my ads. Did that answer your question? I know I kind of went off talking about
That's okay.
marketplace. But yeah, so I hired Zach Vaught. Great guy, great program. He's way more expensive, so he's $1,500 to start off, and then $1,250 a month. He teaches you how to run. He runs your ads for you. Whereas me, I'm a annual, $497, but I teach you how to do. That's yearly cost. It's $497 yearly. But I teach you how to do your own ads, because in my opinion, if you're not making $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a month, you shouldn't be paying somebody $1,250 a month to do your ads. That's something you can learn and do yourself. Then you take that money that you would have spent. Like I said, I was spending $1,250 a month going to Zach on top of the ad spend. It would have been so much better if I could have just doubled my ad spend. But yeah, having access to his portfolio is what really that's what really helped me when I niched down. That's what really helped skyrocket the sales. They didn't have to build nothing and hope it sold. Any other questions? We have 18 minutes.
What's a good amount if someone was considering trying to run ads on Facebook? How much would you plan to spend per day, per month? What's the kind of how that works?
I highly, highly, highly recommend, if you could do it, $1,000 a month starting out. I've never gone above 1,000. I've never been lower than 1,000, never been above 1,000. And I've been able to generate 25, 35,000 most months. You could do 500, but if you could do 1,000, that's going to be, it's like a sweet spot. If you could do more than that, then go balls to the wall once you find an ad that's working. But $1,000, in my opinion, that's a really good starting point, and it's good for maintaining. But I wouldn't go less than 500 for sure.
I haven't quite made the jump yet to working on some projects for the house first to get some gallery photos, etc. But time always seems to be the enemy for me. I know you're working full time as well. So how do you find time and maximize productivity when you're in the shop?
Yeah, I actually just had this conversation with one of the members that's in the group. He had a call set up with me before the webinar. He asked me the exact same question, because I do work full time. I'm also pastor. We have 6 kids. I've got my furniture business. Now I have this business, and I'm starting another one in a whole different arena. It just comes down to time management. And so in my shop, like, I don't go into I'll get home. So I get off of work at like 3, get home by 4 with the traffic. I'll spend a couple of hours, eat supper, spend some time with the kids. 6 o'clock, I go in the shop. 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, I go into the shop, and I don't come out till around 9. I can get a lot of work done, and that kind of ties into why I set up the business the way that I did. I get a lot of work done. If all I'm doing is building a tabletop and then putting stuff together and finish it to match, I can get a lot of work done in 2 or 3 hours in the evening. There have been some nights that when it's, you got to get stuff out the door, that I've had late nights, midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning. They've been very, very, very few and far between. But it's really just sitting down and figuring out where you could put your time and when you could do it. Sundays, I don't work at all. I always say I do, I'm at church from 6 o'clock in the morning till about 3 in the afternoon. So when I get home on Sundays, that's my time off. Saturdays, it just depends. But for the most part, during the week, I go into the shop at 6, come out at about 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock. And that's whatever work I get done, that's what I get done. I do a lot of time planning. I do very well planning what I'm going to get done. And the other thing to kind of keep you from burnout, because it does sound like you can get burnt out really quick, is you got to have something more than just money to kind of motivate you for this business. And my kind of motivation, we grew up very, very poor. So poor. It's funny because I just had this conversation. We were so poor growing up that whenever we got up in the mornings to go pee in the toilet, we couldn't flush the toilet till all of the kids peed in the toilet. We had to pee in the same water in the toilet, so we could only flush one time. That's how freaking poor we were. We all had to share. If we had Coke, like a can of Coke, 3 of us had to share a can of Coke when we were taking road trips. So we were very poor. That's not something I want to pass down to my kids. Now, I'm not working myself into the grave, but I'm also not going to have, I'm not going to pass down poverty to my children. And so that kind of motivates me more than money to actually get in there, do what I got to do as a business, because it's helping to grow. It's helping to grow this community that I'm building here. I got a lot of experience, a lot of wisdom. I'm helping a lot of people scale their business, the same thing. So number one is time management. Be very good about planning your day. And then number 2, you got to have something, a motivating factor other than just money. If it's just money, you're going to get burnt out real quick. I know that kind of sounds counterproductive, but if you're just doing it for money or just to pay off debt, it's going to be really hard to keep that going. Does that answer your question, Daniel?
Yeah, that does. I appreciate it. Quick follow-up on that. I know you say you get, roughly 2 to 3 hours a night in the shop. So when you have a huge amount of orders coming in, and this is probably a couple steps down the road for me, what do you do for lead time? What do you tell people as far as, hey, it's going to take roughly this long, or do you even tell them at all? You just say it's ready when it's ready?
Oh yeah, I give them an estimated lead time. And we typically have that conversation before they put down a deposit. And so right now we have we're at 12-week lead time right now. So I'll let them know, just so you know, we have a 12-week lead time. That's tentative. It could pull in, it could push out. It's very tentative. And people are very accepting of that. But so whenever I say I make, 25, 35,000 a month, that's in sales. That's not in, I'm not building 25 to 35,000 a month. In tables, I'm only building 1 to 1.5 sets a week. So yeah, I give them a lead time.
Gotcha.
And right now we're at 10 to 12-week lead time.
Okay, perfect.
If
Thank
it doesn't
you.
work for them, then it doesn't work for them. But that also brings up another point: 50% deposit. If they don't put down a deposit, they don't get put on the schedule. So don't put anybody on your schedule. Once you start getting a lead time, they don't get put on the schedule until they put down a deposit. Does anybody have any ideas for what they're going to niche down into or niche up into? Any of y'all got suckered into building smalls?
Every day.
I know I do. Yeah, I did that for a little while. That'll burn you out quick.
I do have one question, if you've got time here.
Yeah.
Have you ever had a customer question the source of some of the outsourced components? And if so, did you tell them? And if you did tell them, did they push back on it? For example, chairs. I know, I understand. I mean, everybody knows how complicated chairs are. If you tell a customer that I bought these or I, buy the components and put it together, have you ever had any issues with stuff like that? Does that make sense?
No, no, I do tell them up front.
Okay.
When they're ordering chairs, if they ask, I don't have an issue telling them we outsource our chairs, and I'll tell them we're not set up to build chairs. Now where I source them from, they're based in North Carolina.
Mhm.
So you're supporting a U.S. business. But no, I've never had a customer push back on it. If they push back on it, then they just need to find somewhere to do business. Because that's just how my business is set up. Say that again.
Do you have very many people that ask?
Yeah, I do have people ask, do you build the chairs as well? And they'll ask that in a messenger if they come out to the shop. That tends to be a conversation piece for some reason. And like I said, I'll just tell them, no, we're not set up to do it. We outsource the chairs, we outsource the legs. Otherwise, our lead time, and you could talk yourself through it. Otherwise, my lead time for your table would be, 6 months, but we're at 8 weeks, and it's just not cost effective. And you kind of explain the whole thing. It's not cost effective for me to do your chairs. In order to save you money, we'd kind of outsource that because it's something that's going to get painted or stained anyway. There's no point in us setting up a chair shop to build it.
Okay.
And the chairs that we order, it's hardwood. It looks like a beech hardwood. And it's very similar in appearance as far as color. The colors are very similar to red oak.
It's rubber wood, right? A para wood or whatever it's called.
Wood. Yeah.
Para wood.
Yeah.
It's very similar to beech.
I'm curious,
Yeah,
I see most of your videos that you're staining things a lot of times. Do you get many customers that actually want like a solid wood with clear finish, like real walnut?
I'm actually doing a walnut slab table right now. But they're few and far between. Most of the people in my area, their budget is a stain budget. That's red oak or ash stain to whatever. Very few and far between do I get an actual walnut or a sinker cypress, some of the more premium options. But most of our stuff is stained.
That makes sense. I guess the other thing I was thinking about, because you said price in your area, and the $2,000 that I was trying to go for my bottom line, I'm wondering if what would be the best way to determine if that's the reason why that I'm not really getting much traction is because of too high.
Yeah, so I was thinking about that. So like if you were to build a 6 foot by 3 foot dining table with the pine chunky legs from Carolina Lake Company, you still think you'd be at $2,000 for that?
6 foot by 3 foot, like let's say it's red oak.
Yeah. 6
foot
by 3 foot red oak painted base.
And 2 inches thick.
Yeah, 1.5 inches, 1.25 inches.
But you'd have to buy 6 quarter, 8 quarter, right? So
yeah, you have to buy it at 8 quarter and get it milled down. By the time you mill it down, it'll be 1 inch thick. So what do you think that'll come out to?
1 second. I'm not sure how much those legs are.
$150
per leg.
No, for a set.
For a set. Okay. Let's see. Now I could probably do something like that for $1,500.
That change your starting price to that.
Okay.
Try that. You can even like 14. Put it like at $1,460. Your starting price. Put that as your price to see what that does.
Yeah, I think it would really depend on the base. Yeah.
Did you say that again?
I was just saying, I think it would really depend on the base. Because remember, I did that spider base. Like, if somebody wanted that, that would be a hell of a lot more. But
absolutely. And you explain that in the conversation. But just so everybody's aware, Dominic, he and I did the 5-day Underdog Woodworking Challenge. Great guy. He has a spider base table. He built the base that Blacktail Studios. I think that's the name of the one that does all the epoxy. He built the base. Great table. And he's using that as his one of his marketplace listings. That's what he's using as his cover page. But what we want to do is we don't want to put that table and then that table's price in order to get what we're focusing on with marketplace is to get a conversation going. So what we're doing is using different photos of different tables, and we want to use our starting price. So what's your bare minimum starting price for a table? That's why I said 6 foot by 3 foot painted base. That's going to be stain grade, paint grade material. That's going to be your lowest ticket if you're doing dining tables. And what's that price? That's what you're going to put as your price. And then in the description, you're going to put table starting at $1,300, whatever your starting price is for the bare minimum option. Just so everybody on the call. But well, we're getting close to the end. If anybody's interested in joining the group, I'm going to email this. You're going to get a copy of the webinar either way. There's a lot of stuff that got kind of spitballed out there or blasted out there. There's also going to be a link to the school community. If that's something you want to do, I'd love to work with you. Love to help you scale your business. It's actually not as hard as you think. It's just us as woodworkers. We don't have a working, we don't mind working hard. It's a knowledge issue that most of us have. And that's something that I can kind of help you fix. Whenever the best decision I made, changed my life completely, was to hire a mentor. And that's what I'm offering. It's just a lot more affordable and it's the same information. Actually, I think it's more information because you learn how to do your own ads and you don't have to, pay on top of all that. But it's been great talking to y'all. Anybody else have a question? We got 4 minutes and I do have a hard stop in 4 minutes. And
No,
if
go
not,
get a
we're
snack.
gonna- No, I don't think I have time. I think I've just got time to run to the bathroom and come back. That's about it. So
No, thanks for
I
everything.
want to email everybody. Thank y'all for calling in. Thank y'all for the questions. Great conversation. And we'll be doing maybe one of these a month. Every one of them's going to have different information. So stay tuned. If you sign up, just do me the favor and actually show up. So thank y'all. Y'all have a good evening.
Okay,
Thank
thanks,
you
guys.
very much.